Hello, hello. Today's tutorial is going to deal with a little bit of simple melody construction. As you can probably see from the other tutorials, I like simple melodies, simple chord progressions, those types of things. Not everything has to be complicated, although the complicated stuff is, or exotic stuff, is pretty cool as well. Depends on what mood you're in. So this is based off of the concept of creativity through restriction and such. So what that means here is, or how we apply that here, is we're going to limit things to 3 keys. Probably kind of saw things like this happening with the other exercise, the first one. But we're going to try and make something sound interesting with what we have to work with, which is just these 3 keys. As far as what the left hand is going to do, can pretty much do whatever it is you'd like and whatever is within your ability. So for now, if that just happens to be keeping something steady, then you keep it as such, just like the first tutorial. If you're able to move around comfortably into chord progressions and such, then go for it. But remember that our focus, of course, is on melody construction, so you don't necessarily want this to be getting in the way of this here. So if you're going to be holding patterns and such, make sure they're pretty solid. If you're just going to play all over the place, then fine, that's cool too. So starting off with something simple, I want to come up with an interesting melody. You know, one of the most famous melodies is played with just 3 keys. If you don't like this type of sound, say you're in the mood for something a little bit darker, then we're keeping everything simple in a C-ish type of area. Hopefully you're okay with your notes on the piano. So from this 3 area, we're going to move down 1, 2, and that'll give us a sadder type of sound. Once you kind of get past that, then we just slowly expand our range a little bit. It's basically trying to get us to think about what we can do with what we have, or making the best use of what we have to work with. If you have, for example, the whole keyboard to work with, sometimes that's a little bit overwhelming. Sometimes that canvas is too blank, and we can get kind of confused or just overwhelmed with everything. So by starting in these small increments and gradually going out when faced with that blank canvas, hopefully we'll have a little bit more of an idea of where just to kind of go from. Ultimately, you can just dip your brush in the bucket and flick it at the canvas, create a splotch, and just go from there. But if you're not quite comfortable with it, this hopefully gives you a little bit of a foundation for doing something. So I'm just going to expand a little bit further and further, and that should be it. So here, I'm just going to move around a little bit in here, and I'm going to expand to 5 notes, maybe including middle stuff as well. so I kept everything in major, but just moved the position around. Of course, you can come across different sounds depending on which 5-finger position, if you're doing this exercise, you happen to be in. Of course, you're going to come across more dissonant sounds, but hey, that could be interesting as well, and expands what your ear will accept as normal. Whether or not that's a good thing is out of scope of what we're talking about here. So here's 5-finger position from the major into the minor. And expanding up to the octave. So I wasn't exactly paying attention before, but because this is melody creation stuff, we mainly want to be sticking with single notes.